Hey again, Mike here from 10,000 Lakes Taxidermy YouTube channel, Lemire Legends. Thanks for continuing watching our series of mounting a 7-inch bluegill. We've had this fish sitting now for several hours after the pinning stage. That was in part 3 of this bluegill video series. What we're going to do now is we're going to remove all the pins. And the goal here is to show you how to put tape on the back of the fins for support and strength and for repairing purposes. I'm just going to take all these pins out. If you didn't follow the last one, these are basically a seamstress pin. I believe they're 2 1/4 inches long. We got some 3-inch T-pins. These are available at supply companies, sewing outlets, etc. for those pins. I like these a lot better for they don't leave the holes in the fins as opposed to these. These are more for in your spiny dorsals and the sharp areas. So anyways, we're going to remove all those. I was telling you, I mean, this fin stayed nice with just that one pin there. This was going to lay really nice here. What we're going to do to remove this, you want to have waxy cardboard, like a cereal box, a pop box, something like that. What you do is you just basically just roll it. Okay, this is the camera here, so we're just going to roll this, and this is how you remove it. Just gently, just like that. You don't want to just jerk on that. You're going to pull this loose, and you might split the fin. So we got that taken care of. Take these pieces of styrofoam out. You can see the purpose they serve. They give a nice curve to our fish. And like I said, if we had wanted more of a curve to this, more action, let's remove these two out of the pec fins here. Gently take those out of there. Now we're going to have some tiny holes right here, but I'll show you in a minute. We'll have plastic that'll fill those right in. Not a problem. All right, like I said, just a few hours. We can go back in here. We can do our final adjustments. You can still move that plaster on in there a little bit. We had a little sharp ridge right there. We can push that down. We're looking at our fins right here. Those look pretty good. We got good symmetry on this fish. Yeah, one pin ripped the fin right there, but we can fix that. It's not the end of the world. And the reason it did that is that fin was starting to dry out, and I should have rehydrated a little bit more, but it is what it is. That's what we're here for, to show you from our mistakes. So anyway, we're just cleaning some of this clay off of these fins right here. What we're going to do now is we're going to put tape on the back of these fins. You can see the clay is still wet. Okay, but we know we're not going to get any shrinkage. This is a minimal shrinking clay that we have. For doing stuff like this, the brand name of it is Critter Clay, and that's available at most taxidermy supply companies. It's a low shrinkage clay that you can use for stuff like that. So I know that's not going to go anywhere. That's going to stay like that. It's not going to get all wrinkled up and shriveled to nothing. That's a good style clay. So we can go over the top of that. Preferable, you probably want to let this sit a couple of days, but I know people are anxious to see our finished product on this, and we're experiencing quite a few views and people are interested in this bluegill. So we're going to push it along. We're going to plastic the back of this seam. You can see this is pretty dry. I mean, there's a little bit of moisture still in here after 24 hours maybe, that since this fish was mounted. We're going to push the clay around in the cheeks, and you can see we got our jaw is a little bit out of proportion with the natural curve of the fish, so we're going to adjust that. We can move that over also. We still got some flexibility to this fish, so we're going to do that. This is going to dry up right here. That's going to push up a little bit when it dries, but we don't have to worry about that right now. We're just worried about making sure all the cheek fill here, the clay that we put in the cheeks last video, is in the spot we want, and we are ready to go. Okay, next stage. We're going to use this tape. It's made by 3M. It's called polytransport. poly transport tape. This is a 3-inch roll. I believe it comes in 2 and 1-inch rolls. I strongly recommend getting the 3-inch roll. It's worth the money. You can see that, I mean, anywhere basically you grab it, it's just some medical tape. Anywhere you grab it, you can rip it and tear it. You don't have to scissor it, any of that stuff. So it works out pretty good. I really like this for a backing material. I know there's different stuff on the market where you can add a tacky glue on the back, and you can put like an acetate, a clear acetate on the back of it. But I just found out that this, you see these little ridges and these dimples in here, but on the finished fish, the way we finish it off, you're not gonna see any of that. This is gonna be nice and clear, and when you stick it over the top of your fin, like right here, actually to be on the wall side of the fish. Okay, not on the show side, you wanna go on the wall side. We're gonna fill that in with a different compound after plastic on the back here cures out. So basically what I did there, you don't want to go away you just want to go as far as you have to cover your splits. You don't want to start getting in all these big fin rays. I don't ever put any of this stuff on the back of these spiny dorsals here and here, because it won't adhere at all. I mean, you just want to go as far as you can. You want to clean off as much of this clay that you can before you apply it. Okay, we have that one on there. Do the same thing here. I got this pre-ripped ahead of time, so just saving a little time in the video. Okay, same thing here. We put this one on. Okay, you can move this up so that your 2 pinholes are hidden, but that's not a big deal. Our plastic will take care of that. We're going to put plastic on the back here, and it's just going to bubble through there in one swipe. We'll take care of that problem. All right, so we have 2 done. Notice, like I had stated last time in the last video, that you don't want to bring that tape up over your clay. That's why you try to keep the clay up this way as far as we can, up into the fin butt area. That's coming along really nice. It's gonna look really good. So we got that one. Okay, now we're gonna do the secondary spiny dorsal here. All right, I'm just drawing an imaginary line here. Same thing. You don't want to curl that tape way over the back of the body. I mean, I'm going to do a little bit there. You can remove that. Let me get a utility knife blade. You can remove that pretty easy. I'm just going to cut some of that right out of there. You don't want to have that tape up against the body, because then your plastic has to go farther on the back of the fish, and it doesn't look that professional. Let's get that out of the way there. Okay, that's removed. Okay, so there's where we're at with that. Now you're saying, well, we got this little tail right here. Okay, this little piece. If you do an imaginary line, I mean, nobody for commercial taxidermy is ever going to know that was even there, except for if somebody saw it in the drying stage, like you folks are right now. What we're going to do is I just take a good sharp scissors. I recommend a brand name is Fiskars, Fiskrs. Fiskrs, yes. That's a Fiskars scissors. It's a fabric scissors. They're very sharp. They do the job. We're not affiliated with that company at all, but they're a reasonably priced scissors, and they do the job. And this tape is sticky, so after you work on a fish, you do have to wash it with warm soap and water to keep your scissors sharpened from coming together. So what we did right there is we just took off a piece of that. Now you can just put that off to the side right here. Okay, don't get rid of all the tackiness by just flopping it on the table and peeling up later. This is useful, so we can use that again. We're not going to waste all that tape. It's not that expensive, but you don't have to waste it. So we're just going to go around the natural outline of the fish. This is where your reference comes in. You know, I'm just going to go with this. A lot of these have these secondary dorsal fins here, and these bluegills will have a little point right there. I like to recreate that, and that just comes from practice and doing a lot of fish. Okay, same thing here. We're just going to come around the outside edge of this fish, natural cut. You know, you want to take nice big bites. You don't want to do some nibbling where it's all choppy looking. And you can go in and clean this up after you put the plastic on the back and it's cured out. You can go back and clean this fin up if you're not very happy with it. You don't want to take too much. You know, it's like a carpenter. You want to measure twice and cut once. Basically, you can't get it back once it's gone unless you want to spend hours of rebuilding. So I'm gonna go there, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna come right back here, right into the body. Okay, take that off a little bit, just like that. And you can see it's a little bit choppy right there, but after we put our plastic, we can round that off really nice. We'll have a little more support that way, and it won't be so wobbly and wavy on us. And the coffee probably didn't help either. But anyways, so that's where we're at with that. We're gonna do the tail. Same thing, come in this way, follow the top edge, done. And again, if you cut this and you have a little extra tape hanging off here that you see exposed, don't worry about it. After your plastic is on there and it dries and this is more rigid, you can go back in and clean that right up. It's not an issue. Like I said, I like to keep these little pieces like this. These come in handy for other fish I have laying around the shop there in the drying process. You can use those. And one of the spots you like to use those is right here in this pec fin. You can take that small piece of tape, you can stick it right in underneath there, just like that. Okay, backside. Again, this is not up onto the body. It's not on the scales at all. It stays on the fin rays, and it's not up on the spiny part of the dorsal here, or not the dorsal, but the spiny fin. So let's trim that one up real quick. You just want to follow that all the way around. And this can be a trick, depending how your fins dry on these pec fins. You want to match them up. You want to get them pretty symmetrical. So there's that one. Let's put this off to the side. Clean your scissors up here a little bit. All right, so we got that one done. Take this other little piece that we set off to the side here. Let's do this one. You want to keep as much of that fin base as you can. This kind of ripped on me there a little bit and pulled up, but we'll fix that. At the end of this video, we'll show you how that's done on the show side. Same thing, you just want to go around, natural curve. Now we're going to cut this one a little bit short. We're not going to stay in the fin because this one back here is open quite a bit more than that one. So we're just going to take a little bit of that out of there to get it symmetrical. Can I say that? Symmetry, symmetrical. Symmetry. Okay, and we're going to take that part out right there, just like that. Clean this extra tape off of here. This is stuck to my fingers. Okay, done. Still got a piece hanging on there. There we go. Okay, and then you just want to go back in, give it a second eyeball. Looks like we chopped this one a little more this way. Take off that little bit there, and we're pretty close to what we need. Nothing too critical. I mean, nobody's going to go, geez, that one should be open a little more than that one. Like I said, again, this is conventional commercial taxidermy. This is not a competition fish mount. We'd have to be a little more careful when we did that if it was a competition fish. And again, we had extra material here. We're going to take your scissors, we're going to lift that up. And that's one part about doing this when it's not completely dry. You won't be able to pull that off and lift that fin up if it was completely dry right in this area. So, but they're dry enough that they're not damp at all, that this tape will adhere. Like I said, this is a polytransport medical tape made by 3M. I know it's available on Amazon. And a lot of this stuff, more detailed, like I said, we're planning on doing a series of a bunch of different taxidermy work, and not too far down the road, we are going to do a Patreon thing. We're going to go in more depth and answer a lot of questions because we've sold a lot of critters and a lot of fish and things throughout the years, and we always get people asking, inquiring, and we just feel there's really a niche out there for this kind of stuff, especially if we can get out there through YouTube. We'd appreciate your support. Thanks for watching again, and hope you subscribe and you like. things are going pretty well so far, and we just want to show people how to do this and continue the tradition. So back to what we're doing here. We are just going to round off this fin again. Try not to take those little nibbles. We want to put a point out on that side there. We're going to make this nice and round right here. You can move the fish around however you want to do it, whatever's easiest for you. Just you'll figure it out after a little practice. You'll have it right down to a science. So don't take very many. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 5 done. Okay, we just got to finish up this tail. Now on the tail, what you want to do is, okay, you want an imaginary line. You can do this with a Sharpie marker too. You can outline where you want to go with this. And I've done so many that I'll have a pretty good idea of what I'm doing. And now, like I said, you don't want to chop off a bunch of this right here. You don't want to come in this far and take out all of this. You want to keep it back, okay? That way if you miss where your center point is, coming off of right here, okay, we're going to come right here to our center. If you offset it one way or another, you get another chance to straighten that up. So like it's almost like I said before, you're going to measure twice, cut once is what the plan is here. We're going to round this off, okay, right here on the bottom. Just keep your scissors, big bite, okay, all at one time, nice and round, just like that. Okay, stop about in the middle. We're going to come from the back side on this one. We're going to do the same thing. Okay, we're going to round that off. One big bite, one big cut. Just like that, right to the center to the other one. And if you overcut it a little bit, leave that tape in there. When you put the plastic on it, like right in here, if this would have ripped inside of here, leave that on there. Don't rip that out. The plastic will help you hide that. Okay, now you look at your fish and you go, well, let's see. Let me go back and so you can see. Okay, we're looking pretty good. We're pretty symmetrical. So we've got these little nubs. There's one there, and there's a point there. Okay, I don't like that. I like to take those off. You can do it now or after the plastic's on, but since we're here, I'm just going to round that off a little more. Okay, same thing here. You don't want a sharp tip on the tip on the point of that tail fin. Okay, there it is. We're just about dead centered on the back side. You can say, okay, we're up a little bit here compared to here. So what we're going to do, I did that basically on purpose so that we can show you how you can just fix that. If you're not happy with it, let's see if the camera's picking that up. Yeah, you can see that pretty good. Let's see, we're just going to take a little more, come in high on this side. Just like that. And there it is. Okay, that little piece right there, after you put the plastic on it, that would hack right off, or we'll just take it right now. And that's a lot better. I'm a lot more pleased with that look right there, that tail fin. Okay, so we got all that done. We got the fins taken care of. They're all backed. The one thing I forgot to mention, these pec fins right here, it's a common practice. I've had a lot of folks help me tape fins and do things through the years that wanted to learn. I used to teach classes, and what they would do is they would put, okay, wall side here on this fin, and then they would want to come and put the tape on this side. Or they'd put the tape this side, wall side, then they put the tape on this side. So make sure you're on the back of both of these fins, okay? Just imagine if this is on the wall, tape on the back, tape on the back. Don't put the tape on the front. It's a common mistake. So we're going to do here, we got a little extra clay right there. I'm going to take out of there right now. So we got good cheeks. They're starting to dry. You can see this clay in here. It's starting to set up pretty good. Okay, by tomorrow, when we go to put the fish eyes in here, this is going to sit overnight. By tomorrow, we can put an eye in here. But we don't want to do all our plastic work at one time. We're going to set those eyes with the same plastic I'm going to use on the back. If you do too much on these fish at one time, you try and rush it, you're going to get your fingers stuck in the epoxy, and you're going to be over here doing this, and you're going to be working back here. Your fingers are going to get glued to that. You're going to have to do this over. You're going to have all that stuff in your fingers. So it's just better to do a little at a time, I think, anyway. Mix a little bit of epoxy at a time. You don't have to make a big batch up. And you got a little bit of working time with it, which I'll show you right here in a minute. I'm just doing some last minute prep work on this. I want to have a good show side of my fish. I want to have some good symmetry to this one. Make sure all the tape is stuck real nice. Our mouth is drying up really nice. There's a little bit of clay in here too. You can see that's starting to set up inside the mouth. We had taken the gills out of this, so your clay and your paper mache mix come right to the top. And then we're gonna leave that open as long as we can, maybe a couple of days, and then we'll seal that up with some clay epoxy. So let's go, let's get into the plastic part of it. Out of the way. What we're gonna use here is a product called Magic Smooth. We got our hardener and our resin. It's a 50-50 mixture. This is what it looks like. This is our resin. Our hardener, here's the deeper yellow. 50-50. What you want to do is you just want a little dab will do you, okay? Between the two, as close to 50-50 as you can get. I mean, it doesn't have to be precise, but the closer you get, the better. Cure time on this is working time, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. Or it's not tacky, is probably anywhere from 6 to 12 hours. But it gets pretty hard to maneuver and work with after a couple of hours. So what we're gonna do is just mix that together really good till you get a nice consistency. You wanna get a nice creamy color to it. You don't wanna have any swirling. Just a few spins. And what I'm using to mix this with is just a craft stick. You know, they're cheap. You can pick it up at any hobby supply place, or I'm sure you can pick them up at when you buy the seam pens too. You can probably pick those up at the fabric store. I'm sure they have them. Or if you have kids, save those popsicle sticks. So there we go. Okay, we're all mixed up. In the last couple of videos, you're wondering where all that epoxy comes from on this knife. That's about 80% of it right there is this plastic. And this Magic Smooth, that's available at your taxidermy supply companies. I believe it's I don't like to waste a lot of this because it is fairly expensive. You're looking at $60 some for that, but it'll last you a long time. You know, a thin coat goes a long way. You don't have to put it on real thick, especially on the fins. You don't want a thick coat on there because it's just gonna defeat the purpose of the rigidity of the yeah, that's something like that, of the your fin backing. They're gonna get brittle if you put it on too thick. So we want flexible fins, especially when I ship. You don't want any damage. So okay, we got that mixed up pretty good. What we're going to do now is we're not going to worry about the back of this fin. We're going to do the backs of all the fins. We're not going to worry about that one. So we're going to flip the fish over. Okay, we're going to get a little bit of this on our knife. And we got a couple options here for dipping our finger in to smooth this. This here is basically just nail polish remover, 100% acetone. You can use that. It works a little bit better than just a little bit of water. You can dip your finger in water. We're going to put that on there. I'm just going to rub it on there. I like the acetone. You don't have to put your finger in it as many times like the water. I mean, just a couple of, you'll see here. We'll do this one with the acetone and that one with the water, and you'll see the difference of how easy it is to work with. I prefer the acetone. But I imagine water is probably, for your health, probably the better way to go. So there we go. That's all you really need. Like I said, not too heavy, not too thick. You don't have to go up too high. We're just trying to get over the top of the tape. Okay, acetone. Just a little on your finger. And we're going to smooth that down. Just like that. And that's going to cover your tape. It's going to stay on there forever. A little more acetone. We're going to fix up this tip here a little bit. When it comes to these tips, I don't like to put as much on because, like I said, for shipping, you don't want those getting too brittle on you, so I don't like to use as much quite on the tips as I do up in this area, right up in here. So there's your acetone one. Okay, that one's good to go. That's all we need to do there. Okay, now the same thing. Wipe that acetone off my fingers. Get that out of the way. And now we're gonna do the other one, just using water, and you'll see how it spreads the difference in the technique. Okay, we're gonna load that fin up, just like that. Okay, you can see about how thick we got in there, just like buttering a piece of toast. All right, now with the water. See, it gets a little bit sticky. It's harder to move around. Hard to see on camera, but you'll be able to tell the difference between the water and the acetone. Okay, that's it. We got the 2 fins done. Okay, I'm going to check the front side just to make sure if we had any pinholes, we don't have a little divot of epoxy that popped through. We're in good shape there. On to the next one. And again, just a little bit will do you. You don't have to have a big gob on there. And you don't want to put that on any of these spiny dorsal fins. We're just going to, again, just cover the tape. And you get the gist of what we're doing there. And a little heavier there, and then just spread it out towards the edges. And as you get out toward the tip of the fin, it'll be on there just a little bit thinner. Okay, a little acetone. I'm going to go this way, work it up toward the body, just to cover where the tape ended. We're going to get that nice and smooth, just like that. That's it. There's another fin done, just that quick. Okay, and then next one. Same thing, start where the tape stops and starts on the fin and work it out toward the edge. And you can see the way this fin is flopping around. There was a little bit of a hole right there in the top of the fish from we removed some of the meat and things. So we're just going to put a little bit right there. We are going to work that onto the body of the fish just to hold it in place. When this cures out, that'll stay right there. Maybe a little more. Okay, let's use the water on this one. See how it works out. But you can see it just doesn't want to spread as well as it does with the acetone. I think you get a good view of that on the camera. Yeah, perfect. So you can see the difference between the acetone and the water. Water will work, but I just think that the acetone is a little more efficient. Tricks of the trade. I would recommend, by the way, if you're going to do any amount of this with the acetone, that you do wear a rubber glove. Safety first. I'm just going to work that out towards the base of the fin. Again, or towards the tip of the fin. And that's it. Maybe one more dip here just to smooth things down nicely. And that's going to cure really nice right there. You can see how loose that is right there. It was a little bit of a rip. When that cures out, it's going to anchor that fin right there better than any super glue would. Perfect. Okay, one to go. I'm going to do the tail. And this won't hurt anything to, I mean, some taxidermists say you're rushing it a little bit when you're putting plastic over your wet clay, but again, this is critter clay, and it's not gonna, there's gonna be no shrinkage on little fish like this in that tail, very, very little. It's not gonna affect the outcome of your tail junction at all. So again, we're gonna start toward the body, and we're just gonna butter it right toward the outside edge of the fish. Thicker to real thin on the edge. Just like that. A little acetone. Now we got a little bit that came over the top. You can see that, not a big deal. Just go back, just like that, clean it up. We don't want any of this on the show side of the fish. Nice, natural looking fin. Be careful here not to put too much pressure that you don't, you can see that I'm starting to break it a little bit. You don't want to put too much pressure there or you snap your tail off. And again, if you do, all is not lost. You can fix it with a couple of pins from the tail into your plaster mix and a little bit of glue, and you right back in the ball game, and you just put this on the junction, this plastic on the back side, and you're back in business. But you're just going to be out a little bit of time and have a little frustration. What works good for this too is to avoid that pressure of just beating that fin around. You just put it down on your cardboard just like this. And again, always working out. Just like that. Done. Okay, so we'll flop this fish over. What we're looking for now is any extra plaster, or plastic, I mean, that made its way over to the show side of the fish. We're looking really good. So we're not going to worry about that one. Make sure all the backs of your fins are all done. And now we're going to work on the seam. Okay, I'd stated before, and it said we're just going to leave a little bit. I know the balance on this fish, that hanger is going to have to go about right here. Okay, if you put your hanger forward too far, your fish is going to hang like this on the wall. If you put your hanger back there, you're going to have too much head weight. So you want to counterbalance. So I know that the hanger is going to have to be about right in here someplace. All right, so to make this easy, so you're not having to drill a hole through your plaster or your plastic and you're going to split it out, just leave that open a little bit, just so you can get access to put your hanger on it. Run your screw on there. And that just comes from experience, knowing where the balancing point of your fish is. And it'll save you some aggravation, because if you pre-drill through this stuff with a drill bit, it's gonna crack your plastic, and you're gonna have to go back and patch that. And again, time is money. So if you know where your anchor point is, you're a lot better off. Just leave that open. I said about right here someplace is where I'm going to anchor this to. So let's get a little more on here. Fill this up. Now what's going to happen here as this fish dries, we're going to fill up a little bit of this right here, just a light coat where the skin meets the back of the gill cover right there. We're just going to put a thin layer in there for right now, because as this fish dries, this is going to probably crack a little bit in the next 24 hours or so when that moisture comes out of there. It has to find a way out, and that will crack a little bit, but after we set the eyes, we can come back in and fill that up. It's not the end of the world. So what you want to do is, now this is the back side of the fish, the wall side for commercial work. We're not worried about restructuring that collarbone and making it all really nice and fancy. I mean, this is going to be up against the wall. Nobody's going to see it. And again, if it was competition work, yeah, you'd want to replace that collarbone and fix it all up really nice. But for commercial work, we're not to worry about it. It's just a more efficient way of doing things. Nobody has ever complained that their fish didn't have a collarbone in the wall side of the mount. 2 eyes, yeah, I'd like to put 2 eyes in all my fish, even on the wall side. I like to put an eye there. They're not, the eyes I use, they're not that expensive. So same thing. I'm just going to fill all that in, just like that. Now I'm going to leave these pins in here just to make sure this is completely dry. If you pull these pins too soon, your gill cover is going to shrink up, and I don't want that. I like to have on that gill cover right there, I like to have that open as much as I can. Then I can add my blue and my pearlescence in there, maybe a little bit of green up in here, some violets, and I like that flash of color there. My fish seem to sell better when I have more blue and color up in that area. So I like to keep those open as long as I can and as wide as I can get them. All right, we're just about done with this. I think this is as far as we're going to take it. Like we were talking about earlier, we're showing you, I hate to do too much at one time, because you're going to end up putting your fingers in this, and then you're going to have to start all over, and you're going to have a mess. You can't set the eyes. You can, but from experience, you could probably do it. You can't set the eyes, do all this putty work, all this. You're going to end up doing this. You're going to have fingerprints in the back of your plastic. You're going to have your fingers in it. You're going to have to go back. You're going to get frustrated, and it's just going to cost you twice the work. So it's better off to be patient and do it in stages. So all we got to do now is a little more acetone on the finger. We're going to cover up all our seams here, all their thread. And that little piece of thread right there, probably after this cures out, we're probably going to go in at the utility knife and clean that up. I don't want to put my plastic way up toward the top of the back of the fish. You can clean that stitch up, no problem. In one of the last videos, when we stitched this together on the back, I was telling you that there is enough glue in this plaster of Paris mix and the other stuff that's in there that you really wouldn't even have to stitch this fish together. You could pull it out of the mold and you could put your plastic on the back. The only problem doing that is things are going to move around on you, and moisture is going to come out of that sooner, and you're probably going to crack your plastic, and you're just going to have to retouch it up down the road, you know, in the next couple of days before you set the eyes. So stitching it probably the better way to go, especially if you don't have a lot of experience and you're just practicing. I would definitely recommend stitching a fish this big together. You see a lot of guys doing bigger fish. They'll use a staple gun instead of stitching just to save time, but that's going into rigid styrofoam too. So that's it. I think that's gonna wrap this up. And like I said, this Magic Smooth right here, it's gonna take I don't know, 3-4 hours probably before it's still gonna be tacky for probably 12 hours before you could probably go back and work on this fish. But that's okay. That's gonna give us some time for this clay in the eye here in the cheek area to set up, and everything will be looking good, and we can come back and set the eyes. We can pull these pins out, and we're going to work on this gill cover area. So we'll see you in a bit.